Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to my newest LP edition, one of the most requested games in 2011, Gothic 2. And you know what? We're also going to play the add-in, Night of the Raven. You might say, well no, it's not an add-in, it's an add-on. Hold on there a second. Let me describe what this add-in actually is. Basically, in the original game of Gothic 2, you have a completely closed-off world, or two separate rather, where you can move around and do whatever you want to do. With the add-in then, the main world is going to be a little bit changed at certain points, and there is also a location where you can travel between the mainland and a new location that you can only get with the add-in. So that's why I only call it an add-in and not an add-on, because an add-on would make you like, okay, you play the original game through, you've done it, you've finished the main quest line, you get your character, you move on to a new story area, you cannot go back. That is a definition of an add-on. So, we're doing the original game plus the add-in, Night of the Raven. Now, why is Gothic 2 actually one of the games that was so much requested? Well, firstly because the first game, the prequel to Gothic 2, was a great success. I think the game really made sure that it knew what it wanted to do. It really did that very well. And Gothic 1 was hands down one of the most creative, though maybe not best looking RPGs that we got in the time that it was released. Now, it didn't have such a financial success outside of Germany, other than I think they translated it into Polish, I suppose? From what I recall, they translated it into Polish and later on into English as well. But I believe the German version and the Polish version were the first ones to be released, and then came the other languages that they wanted to do. Piranha Bytes, being a German developer, didn't really have a lot of money at that time, so I suppose it makes sense that you would release a game in Germany first when you make it here, so you can just see how the market reacts to this new kind of game. Knowingly that the first game was actually very buggy, and at the time it didn't run on every graphics card it had. Like, for example, I had a Cairo 2 back then. Can you think how it ran on a Cairo 2? That was amazing. Badly, I mean, in the sense of the textures didn't work, it crashed all the time. Then they released a patch and it all worked. So they thought, well, if we're going to make a second game, let's refine that a little bit more. Lots of people complained about the combat system in Gothic 1, rightly so. What did they change towards that in the second game? Many people also were a little bit confused about the talent system, because it didn't give too many options. Did they change that a little bit in the second game? Yeah, a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit, yes. Did they also change the payment system, because ore was, well, very rare and you needed to trade for it all the time? Did they change that? They did, because they now have introduced gold into the world, which is a little bit better of a payment system, I suppose, especially because you don't have to trade gold for stuff. You just trade stuff and you get the gold, which is a far easier solution than providing trading agreements for ore and the stuff that you have. They improved the graphics, of course. They turned a few screws here and there to make it look better, which I definitely enjoy. They made the magical effects a little bit better. They created a huge world together with the valley that we were in the first game. We now have a second area available to us. That is basically the main story, or the main land, so to speak, of Khorinis. And from Khorinis we can travel back to the valley that we were in Gothic 1, which is also quite nice, I think, because there is a little bit of nostalgia going on. Then the add-in also added a new faction, which were the pirates. So, har, my mateys. we're going to join the pirates up because it's more or less mandatory anyway. But it adds a nice little touch to the game that wasn't there before. And also, there's some minor changes in the talent system. For example, if you have the points necessary to increase strength, for example, from 10 points to 30 points, you spend each 1 point. Then the next 30 points will be 2 talent points each, the next 30 points will be 3 points each, and so on. They changed that quite a bit with the add-in, so it's a little bit harder to get to max strength, which is now 200 instead of 100, so they also made that a little bit more comfortable for the player. So you have to really work hard to reach max level, or rather max point level for your skills that you want to use. Although there's still potions that increase strength, dexterity and all that stuff, but it's a little bit reduced in actual points that you will get for strength and dexterity compared to the original of Gothic 2. So there's some slight additions and some slight changes to the system that was already established, but I will show you that once we're in game. Just a little bit of a note: I'm not able to record the in-game cutscenes, at least it doesn't seem to work in-game right now. It kind of didn't work in Gothic 1 as well from the beginning, and then for some reason it did work. I don't know if that's gonna change during the cutscenes when we're in the actual game. So I have to add them in the post-process. If there's some slight tweak errors, like maybe cutting a little bit too early or cutting a little bit late, that's because the videos need to be added in post-process. So forgive me for that, if that's the case. For now, I've turned the volume of the music down a little bit, but now we'll be increasing it again, because otherwise the music would have basically muted me in the menu. So we're gonna set that up here, and that should be fine. Right, so without further ado, let's start off our thing, our work, our adventure in Gothic 2. And we'll see ourselves once we're in game, of course. So, enjoy the intro.
A single prisoner altered the fate of hundreds, but he paid a high price for it. Defeated the sleeper, destroyed the barrier. But while all the other prisoners escaped, he remained behind in the rubble. It was I who dispatched him against the sleeper. Now it is I who brings him back from there. He is weak and has forgotten much. But he is alive. He's back.
There you are again.
Oh look, it's Xardas. Of course it is.
I feel like I spent 3 weeks lying under a load of rocks.
You sound toxic, actually, instead of drinking too much alcohol.
Within your armor kept you alive. I had feared I might not be able to rescue you from the debris.
You did, though.
But enough of that. You're here now.
That is true.
There's a new threat that we have to deal with.
A new threat, is it? Alright, what new threat are you talking about, good sir?
After the fall of the barrier and the banishment of the sleeper, Beliar's wrath has grown even greater. A mighty artifact, so it is written in the old scriptures, will be brought back to this world when the god of darkness sends his henchmen out to search. This search has long since begun. Beliar's henchmen are desecrating the oldest shrines of the gods. The guardians of these holy places have awakened, and their wrath makes the earth tremble. Every powerful magician on this island could sense this wrath. And some of them have certainly begun to face the threat. Must become their ally. That's the only way to stop Beliar.
Alright. So basically Raven is gonna be a badass and trying to do whatever he can to stop the... well, us, basically, from achieving our goal. So we need to deal with him, I suppose. Anyway, we should have plenty of time, wouldn't we?
At least we have enough time now. I did it. The sleeper
has been banned. You vanquished him so much.
Banned? Why? Because he was trolling on the forums? Sleeper, you need a Smurf account to do that stuff. Seriously.
The armies of darkness. It was an order to all evil creatures, a word of power that they were all bound to obey. His last order was, "Come," and they came, all of them, even the dragons.
Oh, nice,
They are
dragons.
creatures of an ancient power. I can sense their presence, even here. And they have gathered an entire army of lowly servant creatures.
Let me guess, lowly servant creatures,
army
what could
now?
that
The
be?
army is camped not far from here, in the Valley of Mines. near
Of
Corinth,
course,
and
the
they're
orcs,
getting
what
ready to
else,
attack.
right?
We do not have much time left.
It's always the orcs, right? Whatever game you see, whatever game you play, it's either goblins, orcs, or kobolds that are always the cannon fodder for some greater being that's thinks it's invulnerable and then just dies before the actual army dies, right? It's always like that. Besides, who doesn't like orcs? I always see orcs in many games. I see that in Gothic, I see that in Neverwinter Nights. Any Dungeons & Dragons games basically have orcs in them. They are just always the evil ones. I've never seen a good orc. Okay, stop it right there. I've seen good orcs, Warcraft 3, I'm sorry, yes. But other than that, they're normally just cannon fodder. I feel for them so much. But what do? Nothing. Just have to kill them all, I suppose. Anyway, first things first.
What can we do?
This time we cannot handle it by ourselves.
Nope.
Only the power of
Did it
Eros
last
will
time
help us
too.
against these dragons. A group of paladins is stationed in the city of Corinth.
Oh,
not far
paladins,
from
is that
here.
right?
They possess a powerful artifact which could help us to defeat the dragons. They call it the Eye of Innos. You need to get hold of this artifact. Tell the
Alright.
paladins about the threat. You must convince their leader to support us. And once you have talked to him, you need to find the artifact of Beliar. It is the counterpiece to the Eye of Innos. It must not fall into the hands of evil.
So I'm just going to go to the paladins, talk to them. Hey yo bro, I want your Eye of Innos. How about you give that to me? You can also like just chill out at my house for that, just for that, right? Xardas, what do you think I'm going to do? Look at me! I'm dressed in rugs! There is nothing I can do right now. But how about we start in the beginning? What exactly is the Eye of Innos?
It's an amulet. Legend has it that Innos himself
Oh,
has
is
poured
it?
part of his power into this amulet. It will restore some of your lost strength and help us defeat the dragons. It also has some other hidden powers. I shall tell you more.
How about you tell me that beforehand? Would be helpful. No, Xardas is being his old mystical self, not talking about things at all. Very well.
Why would the paladins give me the
That
eye
would
of
be the
Enos?
other question.
Because you are the one who is destined
And
to wear it.
they know
How
that?
can you claim to know that?
There are a number of reasons. The most important being, you have defeated the Sleeper. If you
I
weren't
did.
a favorite of the gods, you'd be dead by now.
Well,
Let's
basically I
assume you're
was
right
for
and I'm
3
destined
weeks,
to
but...
bear the eye of
Oh
Enos.
well.
How would the paladins know that's true?
The eye itself chooses the one who may wear it. Once you get hold of it and put it on, the paladins cannot doubt your words any longer.
Yes, but how am I getting the eye if they don't let me to it? I can't claim it unless then... Ugh. He's such a logical person, always thinking he can, like, do everything just by talking to people. It's not gonna work with the paladins, is it?
How can I get to the city?
That
Just
would
follow
be the next
path
question.
from here through the mountains. The city is large. You cannot miss it.
That's why it's
Watch
called
out.
a city.
The path to town
City is
not without
always
dangers,
large.
and you aren't nearly as strong as you
No, I don't look as strong as I do, because... Look at me! Well, I do have a little bit of biceps there, but that's about it. Otherwise, I look completely... powerless. So, what
I
about
need
weapons?
I can only give you whatever little I have here.
So,
Look
how about you
around
give
at
me
my
some
tower.
kind of magical
Anything that
staff
looks
so it
useful to
can
you, you can
fireball their asses or something like that, but it seems that Xardas is not interested in that at all.
I'll be on
So,
my way as fast as I can.
yes, be
And
that.
one more thing. Don't tell anyone that you've talked to me.
Why?
Above all, don't tell any magician. Since I have gone into exile, the Circle of Fire has taken me for
Okay.
dead, and that's a good thing.
So they think you're dead. Okay, very well. The first thing we want to do here, once this is over, is to quickly turn to the right and go over here, because book stands give us extra experience in this game. And this one will not be available to you unless you really act quickly on it, because Xardas is then moving over to the left
Hey,
side,
you!
which we're then going to talk to a little bit about. That's a bit about the beginning things that we can ask right now, so we just get a little bit of info
Where
out of him.
exactly are we?
As I already said, near the city of Corinth,
Yes, you
I
said
have
that.
rebuilt my tower
You
here.
did?
But it's only
Wow.
been a few days since we last saw each other in the valley.
3
of
weeks, not
The
few
students
days.
I
Sorry,
summoned to
no.
build my tower have done a thorough job.
Oh,
you can say
did
that
they?
again.
Well, at least they put some different colored stones on the walls, right? So, well done, I suppose, whatever demons he summoned to build this thing. Well done.
Where can I find better equipment?
The closest place where you can get better weapons and armor is the city of Corinth. But down in the valley, you can find some healing herbs that will help you if you get injured in a fight.
That
See
sounds
the lake
good.
right in front of my tower. A secret passage leads to the valley from there.
Okay. So, they think you're dead. So why are
Why
they
is the
supposed to
Circle of
know
Fire
that?
not supposed to know about you?
I used to be a high member of the Circle. Even then, I suspected that demon magic might be the key to the magic barrier. But I could never have convinced the other members of the Circle to follow.
Rightly
this path.
so, because
So I
it
left
wasn't the
Circle
path.
in order to study the black arts. That is a crime for which the fire magicians, the ordained of Enos, the ever good and virtuous, will accept no excuse. They are certain that I'm still alive, but they have no
What?
idea where to find me, and that's a good
You
thing
just
too.
said something completely different. You said they think you're dead, and now you think, well, they think I'm alive. No! No! What's right now? Are you alive to them? Are you dead to them? Make up your mind, old man.
So what should we do next?
We shall proceed as planned. There's no other way. You can go get yourself the eye
It's
of
interesting
Enos.
to say that
I
he
shall
thinks
keep looking
we
for
are
it.
going to proceed as planned because I'm doing the dirty work, right? Always the dirty work. Anyway, bookstand number 2. Again, 25 XP. And before we continue on here a little bit further, I'd like to show you the character screen. So, did anything change? Well, a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. So, we're now at the moment with Guildless in level 0. We have 50 experience of 500, can use no magic and have no learning points at all. One-handed, two-handed bow and crossbow are a rookie, and we have a 10% chance of doing a crit. Sneak's not enabled, picklock's not enabled, pickpocket's not enabled, create runes, alchemy and forge weapons we cannot do, and we have not learned to take any trophies yet. Strength, dexterity and mana is at 10, hit points is at 40, weapons and projectile resistances are the same as before, so is magic. However, this time we've got Dragonfire as a new resistance. So, yeah, it seems to be a little bit added on to the Dragonfire just for that specific reason. But otherwise, it's all basically the same. Now, how about I tell you how to get back here? Would you like to know? Alright, I'm going to tell you. Because I've played this game so many times, and I was always thinking like, well, how am I getting to get back there? It's actually pretty simple. If you go over here, and turn your screen a little bit to the left, you see that there's a stone sticking out on the chimney here. If you press that one... Oh look! By chance, the door opens. This will net you a mana potion, as well as a chest. In this game, by the way, you only have to left-click on things to open them, and just left-click and hold to collect items from it. Also, the amount of items that you will get will increase slightly over time when you hold the button down. So about 5,000 or 3,000 gold will be done very quickly compared to like 10. Right, so our first weapon is going to be the heavy branch that's over here in this pile of wood. Then we're going to make our way to the top of the tower because there's something else we want to collect there. Because you know of me, I like exploring. And exploring is one of the most important things that you can do in this game. Also, if you turn to your left, there, if you turn to your right, here is a statue. The statue of Beliar. Well, this statue doesn't do very much right now. If we try to do something here, we could pray, or we couldn't do anything. This statue will be much more important later on in the game. They were also added with the Knight of the Raven. So this one will only be available to you when you have the add-in installed on your computer. Otherwise there will be no statue whatsoever. What is important is that there's a key here, which will fit into this chest here. In here we've got a little bit of gold, spell scroll of light, 2 lockpicks and a dagger, which we absolutely don't need at this point. And we also have some book stands here that will net us each plus 25 experience again. Each of them can only be read once to give the experience, so yeah, you don't need to read them twice. You also cannot turn a page or anything. They sometimes give special things like some recipes, for example this one here, Elixir of Dexterity, which requires a goblin berry, for example. It doesn't... Actually, does it tell you? Yes, it does. The potion of speed is much simpler, blah, blah, blah. And in the first part it also tells you about that each of these permanent potions requires a king's sorrel to produce. You should definitely look out for king sorrels because that is one of the main ingredients that you will need for any permanent potions whatsoever. Might it be health? Might it be mana? Might it be strength? Or is it dexterity? Now, with Knight of the Raven, Piranha Bytes also added some new equipment items. For example, you can now wear belts. You might think, well, that's great and all, but what do they actually do? Well, you can only wear one belt at a time, but fortunately, since they were intelligent enough to introduce the player to that concept, they put a belt right in the beginning into this area. So once we're done collecting all these berries and plants, we shall look to the right hand side and find a belt. Then we shall be collecting all the other ingredients that is lying around here. And we also will be collecting some gold pieces that are just lying on the floor. Which is not a lot, it's just 3 gold in this room. That was 1, number 2, and number 3. Anything else? Nope. This room is now completely empty. Now let's have a look at the inventory. You can just go around with the inventory with WASD. Simple and easy. Left click uses an item. For example, also equipping is done by just left clicking. So we just want to equip the belt. And we also want to equip the heavy branch, because it does 10 damage compared to the dagger, which only does 5. Little known fact, if you eat the dark mushrooms in sufficient quantities, you will gain 5 mana for eating them. I believe the first one is at 30, then 40, 50 and so on. So you need to eat 30 for the first plus 5 mana, then another 40 for the next 5 and so on. I think it's also plus 10 each time. So these goblin berries give dexterity bonus of 1. The dragon root does a strength bonus of plus 1. And if you consume them, and you can save them up to brew these permanent potions later on in the game. Now this path here, as Xardas told us, will lead us down to the city. However, we don't want to go there just yet. There is a reason we don't want to, because first off I'm going to show you the first person mode a little bit, because we can then navigate around here without dying and falling off the cliff. It's 4 healing plants over here that we want to collect. It's always good to have healing items. Then we switch back to third person and don't die, hopefully. And then you might think we're done here, which would probably not a wrong thought. However, there's a secret at the end of the tower. If you want to go there, you can either go up here, which is a possibility if you time it right. Sometimes you need to jump several times to this, but this worked out pretty well. Or you can also go down from the top of the tower there in the middle, jump onto this thing, jump onto this thing, and then just go down here. Behind here you will see some trees, and also potion, scroll, and scroll. There's nothing else back here, but still, it's a little bit of a secret if you have not yet found that. It's also very nice because it nets you a little bit of extra gold later on, because most of the time I'm selling the scrolls very early on, because I don't need them at all. More or less. So, dark mushroom. Also, our first enemy is gonna be a sheep. Moo. And then we can collect the flesh from the creature. Also, down here is that secret passage that I told us about, and also down here is a goblin. Okay, well that was a little bit unfortunate for the goblin because we just critted. Normally we would have needed like 2 to 3 hits, normally 4, depending on if you equip the belt or not. And then the goblin is dead. Now back here is another secret that if you don't like exploring you'll probably not find at all, because down here is your first ranged weapon, which is going to be a short bow. Mightily fine for the beginning, definitely. Not so much for later on, but we're still in the very beginning of the game, so it's worth a shot to take a look at all the areas that we can explore. Now, we're gonna equip the bow here. Then we're gonna draw our heavy branch. Jump down. Jumping is done again with the right mouse button, which I do prefer to push. Also, combat-wise, it's so much easier now to fight here, because it's so much better than the original, the first game. So much better. Right. The next problem here is some more goblins. If you go down this path here, you will notice there are 3 goblins. 1, 2, 3. Now we want to kill them all before they can kill us. Oh, we hit them actually. Oh, nice! Normally they hit me at least once. It seems I've been lucky this far. They also have a second branch every time in the inventory. I'm not sure why that is. Probably a bug, never fixed. But it's extra gold, so who cares? What we do care about is this chest over here, which contains 35 gold. Gold's always nice to have, especially in the beginning, because you might want to buy some things later on. An apple, man essence, dagger. Right, so that's the first part of this cave. And when we come back, folks, we are going to take a look into this ominously looking path down here. Already mysterious things coming up, especially because we don't know what's going to be down there. Could be mine crawlers, could be goblins, or could be something completely different. So, and we'll see you all next time.